Having a background image on your web page is useful. It adds to the overall look and feel of the website. The background image property in CSS applies a number of different types of graphic images to your web page, either PNG, SVG, jpeg, GIF or webp, or you could just have a gradient. In this video I'm going to talk about how to use the background image property and how to use other properties to adjust the image property. I have my usual setup where I have an HTML file and a separate style sheet. I also have an images folder with a small PNG and a large image. I will start off with the small image and the most basic setup. I shall apply the small image to the body of the style sheet. So I go to Styles, Body, and then Background Image, and then we use URL and then Images for the Images folder, and then 4 dogs small PNG. I save that. And there we have it. But it's come up twice because it's repeating, and also when I expand it, it repeats 4 times. So it's repeating both vertically and horizontally. There's another property I can use called background repeat, and if I set it to repeat X, now it only repeats in the X direction, the horizontal direction, and if I set it to repeat Y, it only repeats in the vertical direction. And if I set it to no repeat, it doesn't repeat at all. So starting with this small screen size, I'm missing the 4th dog. You can see his paw just there. Now I can get over this problem by setting background size to contain. And I now have an incredibly small image. You can just see it just there. But don't worry, I'll get over that by setting the height. Height 100 viewport height VH. And that's it. And now we have all 4 dogs. So now at small screens it looks fine. But when I make the screen larger, there's a gap here. Also, I should set a background colour in case the image doesn't show. So background colour, and I'll set this to C, set this to #C0967E. It's the background colour. Another property I can use is the background position. I can go background position, and if I make it center, it centers it vertically on the small screen, which I don't want, and it centers it horizontally on the large screen, which I do want. what I can do is if I put this to cover, it messes it up even more on the small screen, but on the large screen it covers the whole of the screen. So I'll put this back to contain. And I'll comment out this background position. And I'll create a media query for screen sizes above 1400 pixels. So it's at media screen and min width 1400 pixels, and I'll put body, and I'll copy this so I'll make it a large for dogs, so it's large image. So background size is cover, and background position is center. Right, so now on a small screen you have that, and on the large screen it covers the whole screen. So for background size set to cover, it resizes the image so it covers its container, but it does not stretch and distort the image. This means in this case that some of the top and the bottom of the image is lost, because the ratio of the height to the width is larger than the ratio of the height and the width of the screen. When background size is set to contain, the image gets shrunk to the size of its container. The ratio of the height and the width remains the same, so the image does not get distorted. You can set the background size to a width and height value. So if I go eight 100 px and 450 pixels, save that, screen size is reduced to that amount. The background position can, apart from being center, it could also be top, and the image goes to the top, or bottom, the image goes to the bottom, left, or right, or it can be given a specific position like 300 pixels, 400 px, and it's 300 from the left and 400 from the top. I'll put it back to center, back to center. I'll put this back to cover. So instead of an image, what we can have is a gradient. I'll delete that. Go linear gradient is to right, and then blue, red. You get that. So the to right means it goes from left to right. So it's left to right, blue, red. Left to right, blue, red. And if I go to left, it goes right to left, blue, red. And if I go to top, it goes bottom to top, blue, red. And of course, if I go bottom, it goes top to bottom, blue, red. Put this back to right. Can also have other colours, such as green, yellow, gives that, or can also have percentages where the colour starts and finishes. 20%, then red, 80%, come on there, and then blue, so it's blue for 20% of the time, and then between 20% and 80% it transitions from blue to red, and then between 80% and the end it transitions to blue again. Instead of a linear gradient, you can also have a radial gradient. I'll delete this and show you. So it's radial gradient. And hash E66465 and hash 9198E5. So here the colour starts from here with this sort of pinky colour, and radiates out to the sort of bluey mauve colour. So you have it's a circular gradient rather than a linear gradient. As with linear gradients, you can have extra colours as well. So yellow, green, you get that. Bit hard on the eyes. That's better. You can use percentages as well. If I make this 10% and this 90%, then this will be, the pink colour will be solid for 10%, and then from the 10% to the 90% it will transition to this bluey mauve colour, and then for 90% to 100% it will be the bluey mauve colour. If I make this 60% and leave that at 90%, then we get 60% solid pink colour, and then it transitions between 60% and 90% to the bluey mauve colour. And if I change this to 60% also, I get no transition at all, because you get the solid pink colour for 60% of the time, and then from 60% you have the blue mauve colour. So there's no area for transition. One thing you can also do is use RGBA colours. One site that can help you is cssgradient.io. This is it. It's got this, you can choose between linear and radial. This part is a colour picker, and I have put my chosen background colour in here. The first and second value here are both set to my background colour, which is C0967E. And the stop is set to 0, which means that it will start from the centre here. The alpha on the first value is 0, which means it will be fully transparent. As can be seen here, it starts off fully transparent. Up here is where what the gradient will look like. As I said before, the first and the second values are the same, but the stop is set to 80. So between 0 and 80, the opacity will transition, because on the second value the opacity is 1. So between 0 and 80 the opacity transitions to fully opaque, and then between 80 and 100 here it'll remain fully opaque, and here. So what I can do is have a radial gradient and a background image. So what I'm going to do is copy this and go back to my code, and then where this is set to cover, I'm going to comment that out. So now we've got the slight edges here. And then what I'm going to do is just here, I'm going to paste the gradient. Make that a comma. And now we've got that. Rather more gradient than I want. I really want more picture. So what I'll do is go back to my code, try changing this to 60, so it's transparent up to 60%. So now I can see a lot more of the photo, and you get this gradient effect. There are other effects you can have with the combination of gradients and photos. For instance, you could have a gradient on one side of the screen and a photo on the other, and you could have some text on the gradient, That's probably enough for this video. Thanks for watching. I hope you have enjoyed this video. If so, please subscribe for more.